Today, we're diving into a book that's basically legendary, one that's been credited with creating more millionaires than maybe any other, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now, to really get why this book was such a big deal, you have to picture when it was written. We're talking the 1930s, right in the middle of the Great Depression. The economy had collapsed, people were losing everything, and for millions, it felt like there was just no way out. And then, into all that chaos, Napoleon Hill drops this book with a pretty wild idea. He basically said that real, lasting wealth doesn't start with money or who you know. It starts inside your own head with a specific way of thinking that anyone, and he meant anyone, could learn. Hill put his finger on what he believed was the #1 dream killer, the habit of just giving up too soon. He argued that what most of us call failure isn't the end of the road. It's just temporary defeat. It's a test, and how you handle that moment changes everything. And to really hammer this idea home, he tells this incredible story, a parable that's become famous. It's the story of being 3 feet from gold. Okay, so it starts with this guy, R.U. Darby. He catches gold fever, heads out west, stakes a claim, and starts digging. And after weeks of backbreaking work, bam, he hits a vein of pure gold. He'd struck it rich. It looked like all his problems were solved. But then, just as fast as it appeared, the gold was gone. The vein just vanished. Darby and his uncle kept drilling, pushing farther and farther, but they found nothing. He got so frustrated, so convinced he'd failed, that he just quit, sold all his expensive machinery to a local junkman for a few $100, and went home with his tail between his legs.
So here's where the story takes a turn. This junkman, he's not a miner. He doesn't know the first thing about prospecting, but he had something that turned out to be way more valuable. Any guesses what that was?
The junk man was smart enough to know what he didn't know. So instead of just guessing, he went out and found some expert help. He hired a professional mining engineer to come out, look at the mine, and do the calculations. And what that engineer discovered was just mind-blowing. Turns out, Darby hadn't failed because the gold was gone. He'd quit because he didn't understand how fault lines in the earth worked. The engineer's report showed the massive vein was still there, just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped drilling. 3 feet! That junk man went on to pull millions of dollars out of that mine. So, that's the big question, right? How do you find the strength to drill those last 3 feet when everything is telling you to quit? Well, Hill's first and most important principle is the answer. It all comes down to the power of desire. And let's be clear, he's not talking about a casual wish, like, man, I'd like to be rich someday. No, he's talking about a burning desire, a white-hot, all-consuming obsession with a definite goal. He says that's the only thing powerful enough to push you through that temporary defeat. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Huge achievements don't just happen by accident. They come from this intense, laser-focused purpose that absolutely refuses to take no for an answer. Okay, but having a burning desire is one thing. How do you actually turn that intense feeling into, real-world results? That's where we get to the practical, step-by-step part of the process. This right here is the 6-step formula that the industrial giant Andrew Carnegie personally gave to Napoleon Hill. And look at how specific it is. It forces you to go from a fuzzy dream to a concrete, actionable plan. You're not just hoping anymore. You're literally programming your brain for success. And this is really the whole ballgame. On one side, you have the wisher, who just hopes for good luck. On the other, you have the planner, who has a definite goal and a concrete plan to get there. It's the difference between being a passenger and being the pilot of your own life. And look, this isn't just theory. Hill's book is packed with stories of people who did exactly this. Think about Henry Ford. He became obsessed with creating a V8 engine. His engineers told him over and over it was impossible. His response? Produce it anyway. And that definite plan, born from that burning desire, completely changed the world. So when you boil it all down, the philosophy of this book is pretty clear. The biggest obstacles, the biggest battles you'll ever face, they're not out there in the world. They're fought and they're won right inside your own mind. Hill talks about 6 major fears, but these are the big ones for a lot of us. First, the fear of poverty, which can literally paralyze you and keep you from taking any risks. And second, the fear of criticism, that constant worry about what will other people think. That one kills so many great ideas before they even get started. So, the ultimate message of Think and Grow Rich isn't really about money tricks or business tactics. It's about taking complete control of the one thing you actually can control, your own mind. Because when you master your thoughts, you start to master your destiny.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about your own goals, your own big dreams. Is it possible, just possible, that you're standing only 3 feet from gold right now?